Before Daewoo started to build cars, they were a little more at home with the deep blue sea. That's because they built ships. So when they decided to diversify from the sea to the land, they were faced with a problem. I mean, let's face it, the performance and handling of a large ship is somewhat different to what you expect from four wheels. So to woo the car buying public, they dazzled them with hassle-free car buying and superb levels of after-sales service. OK, the cars on offer were little more than tarted up old Vauxhalls, but it certainly worked. But now, 4 years on, it's a rather different story. Daewoo still offer the superb after-sales package, but the cars on sale are totally designed and built by Daewoo's own people. It all started 2 years ago when Daewoo surprised many people by launching not one, not two, but three totally new cars at once. They were the Nubira, the Lanos and the Leganza. Now, they weren't great cars, but they were cheap, they were economical, and they came with a great sales package, qualities that wooed plenty of buyers. And now, 2 years after the launch of those three vehicles, Daewoo say they've responded both to the market and also to comments from customers to produce this, the updated version of the Nubira. And what a cosmopolitan little car it is. It's been built in their factory in Korea, but it's been developed at Daewoo's technical facility in Worthing. It's been styled by some trendy Italians, and it's here in lovely Lisbon in Portugal for us to drive. Now, this kind of Mondeo type saloon might not look like the most exciting prospect to you, but remember, there are plenty of people out there for whom practicalities outweigh sheer driving pleasure. The Nubira's new look is most obvious from the front, where Daewoo's signature chrome grille is flanked by triangular headlamp clusters. There's a new V-shaped bonnet and a more angular rear with bigger tail lights and a reshaped boot that now features gas struts. The whole look is far sleeker and helps make the Nubira stand out on the road. Now, as you'll know, the fashion in the motor industry at the moment is to produce cute little city cars that are absolutely huge inside, a bit like Doctor Who's TARDIS. The Nubira, however, is quite the opposite. From the outside, it looks like a fair-sized family saloon. Once you get inside, it's quite a surprise. It's a lot smaller than you imagine, probably the size of an Astra or maybe the Focus. Doesn't seem to be quite sure what kind of car it is. However, having said that, you do get extremely high levels of specification no matter what model you buy. Things like dual airbags, air conditioning, power steering, central locking, there's a good stereo. Everything comes as standard. Now, the interior has had probably the most work on it. It's been completely redesigned and it is a very pleasant place to be. Everything is well laid out. The sort of aluminium look trim is very nice to look at, and there are plenty of cubby holes to store all your stuff in. So it's a kind of car that suits a practical buyer. But what a practical buyer really wants is a car that's undemanding to operate and virtually drives itself. Amongst you will be very pleased because the Nubira is easy to drive and you quickly feel at home behind the wheel. Unfortunately, it's also rather disappointing. This is the 2-litre CDX model, and although the press pack says that just like the 1.6, the engine has been refined, I've yet to find any signs of it. Although it's capable of a top speed of around 120 miles per hour and can get you from 0 to 60 in about 9 seconds, it feels rather sluggish and underpowered. The suspension is extremely hard, making for a rather fidgety ride. And as for the steering, well, it's a bit too vague for my liking. And things don't fare much better with the gearbox and the clutch. The clutch is spongy and the gearbox is rather notchy and can be hard to actually get into gear. The whole driving experience is rather uneventful. You're certainly not going to buy the Nubira for thrill and driving excitement. Now, don't get me wrong, this isn't a bad car. It just isn't the drive of your life. But owning one will help to keep your stress levels down. That's because Daewoo promise customers hassle-free showrooms, uniform trade-in prices right across the country, and you can also bank on low insurance and cheap servicing, which, by the way, is included for the first 3 years. All that means no headaches for you, the buyer. And if you aren't tempted by that package, then the prices will definitely keep you happy. This 2-litre CDX will set you back £13,225, Although we reckon that the 1.6 engine, which isn't miles off the 2 litre in terms of performance, is a much better buy at just over 12 grand. And if states are your thing, then the 1.6 is 13,225 and the 2 litre version 14,225. Prices like that are bound to make the Nubira an attractive proposition for families looking for a practical saloon and also for the fleet buyer. The price is actually one of the most positive aspects about the Nubira, and that, together with the levels of customer care, that no worries 3-year warranty and the 3 years free servicing, are the things that will tempt you into a car that on its own is pretty unexciting.